then. What a race. What a result. What do you have to say for that?
I don't know. I feel like that was by far the best race of the season.
Oh yeah,
Um,
definitely. Definitely.
I yeah, F1's so much better without Mercedes and Red Bull.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, get rid of those two and we'll have exciting racing again. No, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I saw some things on Twitter where they're like, "Oh, this is like an argument for reverse grids now. Like this is what a reverse grid would look like and stuff." Um, I don't know. I feel like after that race, I'm more open to reverse grids. Like
Mm.
if they was introduced, I'm still not like for it, but yeah, that was like really really good. It felt like I haven't seen a fight for the lead in like a very long time, like a proper fight for the lead, and a race just like that in a long time. Obviously, we've seen like chaotic races where like Germany 2019 or something, but where was I? Was I saying? Yeah, we haven't seen a. Obviously, we've seen chaotic races in the past, like Germany 2019 and stuff, but we haven't seen a race like that in a very very long time. And
Mm.
obviously, we haven't seen. This is the first time someone other than Red Bull, Mercedes, and Ferrari won a race since I don't know when, but it's,
Since 2013, almost 7.5 years basically, since Kimi Räikkönen won in Australia.
yeah, that's a crazy statistic.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, obviously AlphaTauri or Toro Rosso, whatever you like to call them. I don't know. They must really love Monza. Obviously, it's
Yeah.
their home race and stuff. You see, an
Yeah.
Italian team always wins at Monza. I just got the wrong one. We just had the wrong
Yeah.
one in mind, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I
yeah,
think
that was just
the thing is like with Monza is because it's so like straight line dependent, it doesn't matter as much about so like certain things about the car like aerodynamics and chassis are like the really hard ones to nail, so like it's not as dependent on those, even though if you have a good chassis and aero it will help you a lot. Like we saw in qualifying with Mercedes were just on another level in qualifying. I've never even seen a qualifying that dominant before.
yeah,
So
that was insane. The way he
yeah,
could go through like chicanes and stuff.
yeah. But yeah, if we look
Yeah.
at like the race, I really
Mhm.
think that so we saw that obviously Magnussen had an engine problem and Hamilton came into the pits, but the problem came
Yeah.
with the pit stop was closed, right? So
Yeah. The pit lane was closed.
yeah, I got this thing where it said Mercedes Mercedes did tell him not to come in, but it was too late for him. Um, so yeah, it that is. I'm a bit sort of I'm not. How do I word this? I feel like there were a lot of things that happened in this race where if it
Hmm.
didn't happen the way that it did, then um, Gasly wouldn't have won. So if you compare that
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
Monza 2008, that was a very different story where it was Vettel got pole and he just won the race on pace alone. Um,
Um, yeah. I feel no, but like in Monza 2008, Toro Rosso at the time were just like obviously free practice and stuff. It was raining a lot, and they were the only team that was actually practicing in the wet, so they had an inherent advantage during qualifying and
yeah,
during the race. This one is just like circumstantial. They just fell in his lap, to be honest. If
yeah,
anything, obviously, the thing is about F1, you have to be prepared for those type of situations. Like, obviously, you never know what's gonna happen. Someone could like spin and cause a safety. They're like safety cars, red flags. Like at the beginning of the race, you don't really know what's gonna happen. So even if you're like starting 10th, as Gasly did, I believe he started 10th. You can just as long as you're always there or thereabouts, looking within the hunt for points or podiums or wins, you never know. That's what this race
Yeah.
actually taught us.
Not to undermine Gasly's win, because there were about 20 or so laps plus where he was really leading from the front ahead of Science. So I do think it was a really good drive, and to be in that position under pressure is not something every driver will be able to do. But I really, this win came from. I think that they lucked out on the pit stops personally, because Gasly pit before the safety car, right? But because the safety car, because the pit lane was closed, people couldn't get the neutralized stop advantage that you usually get during a safety car. So it meant that if you pit before the safety car, you would actually get a lot of time ahead of people who pitted. Once the safety car gap closed and everyone was bunched together, and then the people at the front stopped, it meant that the people who already stopped got to the front, and they basically got a free pit stop. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, they won, but it's like they didn't specifically do that to win, because if the pit lane wasn't closed, I don't think Gasly would have won this race.
Oh no, he wouldn't have. But that's like no. Obviously, I feel like Hamilton would have won that race because just based off no penalty,
Yeah.
pit stop, he would have came out ahead, etc. A few people got where Gasly got lucky. A few people got very unlucky, such as the McLarens. McLarens got very, very unlucky.
Yeah.
Especially during the red flag, where Stroll, for example, could just get a free pit stop, and because he didn't pit at the time during the safety car, and he was like ahead of them, but he wasn't like net ahead of them, if that makes sense, because he still had a pit stop to do. So he just gained 24 seconds. Yes. So anyway, these things happen in F1. I'm not really complaining or anything, because us as fans, obviously, we're happy to see someone other than Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull win a race. Not that Ferrari can win a race in 2020 because they're shit, but
it's like we can like say like, oh, he wasn't the best, like the fastest driver, but you still love to see a driver like that win. Even though there's about maybe like 10 things that happened that led to him winning, we always remember races like this where that we will never forget this race. Like, it's such a important race specifically for this year. But one, like, the first like topic I wanted to talk about is that obviously last week we put out a video saying like Red Bull's young driver problem, right? But it's just got like 10 times worse now, because we saw Albon. I don't know what, like, Albon had damage from the start of the race, I think, so he just had a really poor race. Verstappen had engine DNF, which helped Gasly win this race, like I was saying before. And now Gasly is a race winner in an AlphaTauri. One thing I want to say is that people on Twitter specifically are now saying that, oh, Gasly has to go to Red Bull because he's won a race, right? But I really think it's a case of what's called like recency bias, where it's like whatever's the most recent thing to happen is so much more important in people's minds now. So it's just because he's won a race, I don't think that necessarily means that it proves anything more that he has to go to Red Bull, if you know what I'm saying. You should look at it more like holistically about, is he a good driver, etc., like all the factors. And because I don't think if they put Gasly in the Red Bull and then it goes poorly like it did last year, that is serious. That is a serious problem for Red Bull, I would say. So I don't know if they really want to risk putting Gasly in that car and having it go poorly and then it looking even worse because they've destabilized the team again. and they've taken away from Albon. And yeah, I think we really need to slow down a bit, because yeah, I love seeing Gasly win, and I love seeing midfield drivers win, but I'm not necessarily going to say that this means that he has to go to Red Bull and Red Bull are doing Gasly dirty or whatever. Because last year on Twitter, I remember people just ragging on Gasly all the time, right? And now they're complaining that he should be in Red Bull, even though the same people are now ragging on Albon for not performing well at Red Bull. So I think people, I don't know, just we need to just slow down and just pump the brakes a bit on this. I think that's just my view, but yeah.
I always say this about the Red Bull program. They have, obviously, actually, before I say anything, I just want to say, when Gasly won that race, I said in the Discord DMs, this is the worst thing that could have happened for Red Bull.
Yeah, and I agree with that, actually, yeah.
People will be like, some people might be like, oh, why one of their drivers won, etc., etc., etc. But now it obviously makes the decision of the driver lineup like that much harder. Obviously, they have 4 drivers under contract right now in Formula One. I feel like they're 4 very good drivers. Some people might be like not Kvyat, but I feel like he deserves recognition, because last year he was beating Albon. I feel like now he's been like clearly outperformed by Gasly, but I don't know, he's a driver that's got very bad luck, and certain situations didn't allow him to perform to his best possible ability. So I just want to say that before. But I feel like now it's clear it's going to be Albon or Gasly in that Red Bull next year. And I feel like I'm of the mind that they should hold on to Albon for the rest of the season and just give him the opportunity to really showcase what he can do in that car. And if it doesn't go well, just switch him out.
Yeah.
That's what I think should happen. But,
yeah. Mid-season, I'd say mid-season driver swaps are like what you only do them when you absolutely have to, I would say.
Yeah. I don't really like mid-season driver swaps. The first one with Verstappen and Kvyat left a bad taste in my mouth. Because Kvyat was getting podiums. He had 2 podiums, I believe, that year. And then all of a sudden they switch him out. And then as soon as Verstappen won, it's like, oh, it's justifiable, etc. Even though it is, now you can see like the effect it had on the other driver. If that makes sense. And so we look at Gasly when he came into Red Bull. He was just, I'm not going to be kind about it, he was awful. I believe his best position was 4th on the best race finish was 4th. He was getting lapped by Verstappen, which is the same car basically. Which is like, I don't feel like that should be happening under any circumstances, unless like you have like a puncture or like you crash. But like if you're racing and your car's like in perfect condition and stuff, you shouldn't be getting lapped by the same car, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's possible, but I don't think the gap between Verstappen and Gasly was actually accurate. I feel like we've seen this year and last year that there is a definite problem in Red Bull where I feel like the Red Bull cars are now specifically tuned to Verstappen's driving style. Yeah, it seems that the front end is really pointy and it's quite stable in the low speed on the rear end of the car. That might be something that might be working great for Verstappen, but I don't know, because you see at Mercedes, even though there's, I would say Hamilton is a lot better than Bottas. Bottas can still fight. You know, the car is able to adapt to both driving styles. Yeah,
I feel like with Red Bull, I feel like it's got like the greatest disparity between drivers in the sense that one's racing for race wins and the other one is like stuck in the midfield fighting for like the back end of the points, which is like, And then everyone looks at the drivers and they're like, well, why isn't he fighting for podiums as well? He should be doing this. He has the same car, blah blah blah. But then Red Bull revealed recently that both cars don't have the same parts. So there's obviously favoritism towards Verstappen, you know. But then at the same time, it's like some people might be like, oh, that favoritism is justified in the sense that Verstappen can fight for championships right now, in my opinion. He is a race winner. He has won a few races, and he has shown that he is the most consistent driver that Red Bull have. But you have to give your other driver like a chance to succeed.
Yeah,
and they haven't done that with either Gasly or Albon.
Yeah, I think that the problem with Red Bull is or maybe the past 5 years, they put all their eggs in the Verstappen basket, and I don't know if it's actually proven to be the best overall strategy, because it seems like Red Bull really, as a brand, really want to go for the driver championship specifically over the constructors championship. That's fine, I guess, but if Verstappen, say in 2022, or with stuff like this, you never know what's going to happen. So if Verstappen leaves out of the blue, Red Bull's a midfield team. They'll have 2 midfield teams. So I don't think it's the best strategy overall. I feel like they need to build a team holistically that can support any driver that goes into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Look, obviously, to look at your point where you said recency bias, Albon almost won the first race. If it wasn't for
exactly, yeah.
Albon would literally have 2 podiums if he didn't collide with Lewis Hamilton twice. So, and that's the same amount of podiums that Gasly's got right now. So it's, I don't know, but it's very. One point that I would like to make, I feel like now is the time that the new drivers are really, really, really starting to step up. The younger drivers are really starting to step up and elevate their game to become the best drivers on the grid. Obviously, you look at the older drivers. Raikkonen's now in a midfield. He's at the back of the grid now. Lewis Hamilton is going to be the champion again, and Vettel is at Ferrari but leaving next year. So I believe those 3 are the oldest. I don't know if I'm forgetting someone.
And Alonso next year as well, is what I'd say.
Yeah, I forgot about Alonso, but yeah, those 4 anyway. I feel like they've only got like a few more years left. In F1 until these guys really step it up. Obviously now me and you in the past have said our top 3 from the newer generation is Verstappen, Leclerc, and Russell. Obviously Russell hasn't had the opportunity to really prove himself, but I give him the benefit of the doubt because of the car he's in. But now I'm really seeing Carlos Sainz step up and show that he can really do something. I believe he would have won that race if it wasn't for the red flag. Who else? And Gasly. I forgot about the guy who won the race. And Gasly. So I feel like now Sainz and Gasly have really added themselves into the conversation of best young driver, which is really interesting. And
I definitely agree with that. I feel like over the past 5 years there's been a complete transformation of the F1 grid. That from the generation that we watched when we grew up, it's only Hamilton, Raikkonen's leaving this year probably, I would say, and Vettel and Alonso, I guess. So it's really the start of a new generation of drivers, specifically with Verstappen and Leclerc, as I would say. Sorry. Going on to, I guess we could look at more of the race. It's kind of hard to cover this race because it's so It's not like it's such an unusual race. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, looking at McLaren, actually no, looking at the entire midfield, I would say, we had this thing about Renault last week, and I kind of feel like it's kind of hard to judge the entire midfield and say Renault is good in like straight lines, because we said last week that Renault has straight line dependent car, but Renault weren't really that good this weekend overall, because McLaren had such a good weekend, even though they had a pretty poor weekend last weekend.
Yeah. When you say Renault, it just reminds me of Ocon on the radio at the end of the race. I saw this on YouTube. Renault were like quite satisfied with the points they got. I don't really remember where they finished. It was like 6th or 7th or something like that, or 7th or 8th, or I don't remember. But they finished like towards the back end of the top 10, and they were like, "Oh, well done, Esteban, blah blah blah, good race." And then Esteban was like, "Oh, I disagree completely. I feel like we missed out on a really really good opportunity to get some really good points, etc. Possibly a podium and stuff." Yeah, I feel like Renault. I don't feel like they had a car that wasn't as quick as the McLaren or the AlphaTauri or the Racing Point, but I feel like they're very very conservative with their strategy, and they're like, we'll pit at this time, we'll do this with the tires, we'll do this with the race setup, rather than really go for going forward in the grid. I feel like they'd rather stay where they are than take the risk of going backwards, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because last weekend was a very structured race overall, compared to this weekend, which was just kind of chaotic. Yeah.
Yeah, but it just really showed me that the midfield is close, because you have one guy winning the race and then another guy and his teammate finishing 9th.
Yeah.
And like in between that sandwich is like the rest of the midfield and the Mercedes, but we don't really include them.
Yeah.
But like, and it's like, Stroll finished on the podium and then Perez is finishing like toward further back. I feel like the only team that was like really really consistent this weekend in the midfield was McLaren. I feel like a few things went against them in the race. I feel like they could have had a 1-2 if you really look at it. Definitely would have had 2 on the podium if it wasn't for that red flag, because Stroll got a free pit stop, as I keep saying. McLaren were very upset about that, as they should be, because that rule's a bit questionable, because it's just like, because it's just like, you have to have 2 tires, you don't have to pit, you have to have 2 tires, and obviously they just saved 24 seconds, which is crazy. I've never seen that in my life before. So
but I guess like one thing that I'd maybe like to talk about is Valtteri Bottas, because he really didn't have a good race. If I don't know what, maybe it was to do with the engine mode rule which came in this weekend that had to do with it, because he had almost 20 laps in P7, and I feel like he should have won that race personally. That's just me, but I don't know.
I hate criticizing drivers. I rather criticize teams, because criticizing a team is like, it's like you're not being a prick or anything. But that was, I'm just gonna be honest. I'm gonna be very blunt here. That was a really really bad performance. It wasn't even that was just a bad performance. He messed up the start, which is like the second time this season now where he's messed up the start. But this one was really bad. He dropped behind both McLarens. He dropped behind, I don't know if he dropped behind a Racing Point, but yeah, he dropped behind both McLarens, and he just couldn't overtake anyone. And then
at Monza of all tracks,
at Monza, yeah, when they're like when the Mercedes is setting like records and stuff.
Yeah, and they're like a second ahead in qualifying as well. So yeah.
Yeah, so and then what do you call it? He gained places during the pit stops. The first the round of pit stops when it was the pit lane was closed and then everyone had to come in one at a time. He actually gained a decent amount of places, but then he was stuck behind Lando Norris the whole race.
Yeah.
And you know, if you told me before the race, Valtteri Bottas is going to be stuck behind Lando Norris for the whole race, and then would have been like, and you would have told me that, I would have been like, no way, I'll bet my life on it. And then I would have bet my life on it and I would have died, if that makes sense. So Bottas, that was just the most I'm just at a loss for words of like how bad that performance was. Like, I've never seen a Mercedes just get swamped like that. Just get swamped like that.
Yeah.
The only like race I've seen a Mercedes like drop back positions. Even the race I'm thinking of, it didn't drop back position. Maybe like Canada 2014 when they had the brake failures.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking of. Maybe. But I've never seen a Mercedes drop that far back. That was ridiculous.
Yeah. I don't want to be like recency bias. Like, I don't want to be hypocritical, but I don't, because it seems like we've been, ever since I'd say maybe the start of last year or like first quarter of last year, it seems like we've been talking a lot about Bottas being swapped out, because as fans, it's not Bottas is not an exciting driver to me personally. I don't want to criticize him too much because I think he's with teammates with Lewis Hamilton, so it's obviously going to be a hard job. But say if you put, like I said this before we started recording, but I feel like Mercedes could be an awesome team for Pierre Gasly. I really do.
Yeah.
But the fundamental problem is that Mercedes don't really care about what we think. Mercedes care about if they win the constructors title, and Hamilton Bottas is the best driver lineup they could ever get, I think.
I remember when at the beginning of the season, like before all the races started, Vettel announced Vettel and Ferrari announced they're not going to be, he's not going to be in the car next year. I feel like everyone, well, not everyone. I feel like you didn't want it to happen, but everyone was just like Vettel to Mercedes, like was like wishing for it, and we were all like, I was like salivating at that like image of like 6-time world champion versus a 4-time world champion. Okay, now he's going to be 7-time world champion. So like 7 world champion and a 4-time world champion, just like against each other. Like,
yeah,
I don't know if that just appeals to me, because obviously,
it sounds awesome.
I don't care about constructors championships. I don't care. Obviously, these teams care about constructors because of the prize money, etc. But I just want to see the best driver win, or the best drivers race each other. And I feel like that's been really taken away from us recently in F1. I don't know if it's due to like a lot of really good drivers leaving F1, or if it's due to like just the disparity in teams, where like we're not able to see each other see these teams race. For example, Alonso was just rotting away in McLaren. Yeah, just chilling.
Yeah.
So
I would say I don't think there's ever been a properly good example. Maybe the last example is Prost and Senna, of 2 major title contenders in the same team.
Alonso and Hamilton.
Yeah, but that was a bit different because it was Hamilton's first year, and I think he was brought in as a second driver personally. So even though, looking back, it looks like that, but at the time, going into that year, it wasn't set up to be 2 head-to-head drivers. Rosberg and Hamilton is an example, maybe. But we obviously saw the problems that brought in 14, 16. A lot of driver
Definitely
disputes.
16.
Yeah, definitely 16. So yeah, it's like we can complain that Vettel and Hamilton aren't in the same team, but no team ever does that. No team ever brings in. No team ever wants to have two drivers butting heads at the same time. So that's why I feel like Mercedes have kept Bottas on for so long. Is that he's kind of serving the purpose that he needs to do of just consistently being there. But this race highlights that maybe he wasn't able to do that race, because if you're a second driver, if your teammate has problems, you probably should win the race. Do you know what I mean? So I guess that brings up that issue, but realistically, the problem is how many years does Hamilton have left? I would say at a stretch, you'd maybe say like 5 at an absolute maximum. But I think it comes down to how 2022 pans out, because it's entirely possible that Mercedes get completely equalized with other teams and aren't able to dominate, and then Hamilton might not be as interested and might have other adventures they want to go into, and then then Mercedes is going to be all open looking for another driver, like Russell or someone like that. But I feel like Mercedes should maybe take a risk on Russell, because you don't want to let drivers just rot out and die, like you were saying before. You don't want to see Russell stuck in Williams for the next 3 years, because that's going to be a major problem for his career.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I'm just saying it in the sense that, like, Mercedes as a team, I feel like if they were given the option of letting their drivers race and not letting their drivers race, and there were no like fan opinions on Twitter and stuff, and there were no like commentators that would be bashing them, I feel like it'd be like team orders and stuff.
Yeah.
And like just let Hamilton win every single race like Ferrari did with Schumacher and Barrichello. I don't feel like Mercedes is a team like Red Bull, for example, that just lets their drivers race.
Yep.
A lot of teams are like that, where they just don't want to take the risk. But I feel like Mercedes, they were forced to take the risk in the past with Rosberg and Hamilton, just due to the fact that they were so far ahead that if both cars didn't finish a race, they'd be disappointed, but it wouldn't really affect their Constructors' Championship chances when they're getting 25 and 18 points every single race.
Yeah.
So,
and I'd also say, with the Hamilton and Rosberg example, when Hamilton came into the team, Mercedes weren't a dominant team, so it was all right to have two like talented drivers, because we hadn't really seen Rosberg's perform like true potential at the time, and Hamilton was coming out of McLaren, and Mercedes were really happy to have him, so that's why we got that. So Mercedes is just like such a different team now that I don't think they'll ever do that.
Yeah. Obviously, I don't know. With me, the Vettel Mercedes with Hamilton is the dream. That's the ultimate dream for me. Just seeing those two like go at it in the same car to finally be like, this guy's the best, or this one's the best. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously now, if we just go based on like performances across both their careers, we can just be like, oh, Hamilton is the better driver, more titles, etc. But this is very, how would I describe it? It's just unfortunate. It's just very unfortunate, because we're relying on a team picking up a really good driver to give us something exciting, rather than teams being closer together.
Yeah.
And then we can just really see who's better, in that sense. But that just brings us like full circle arguing about, oh, F1 should be closer and Mercedes shouldn't be dominating and stuff, and it's really boring. blah blah blah. Because it's all fun and game. We might get a few races where it's like exciting, like this one, or like the races from last year, or like Austrian GP and stuff. But in my opinion, like a Mercedes driver is always going to be on the top step. So like, what's really going to be exciting is we're just watching midfield cars drive or battle each other.
Yeah.
So maybe if we just got rid of Red Bull and Mercedes, put their cars in the garage for like a little bit, and we just like evaluated what these other teams would be doing, you know?
Yeah. I think
or we make it like F2.
Yeah.
Where everyone has the same chassis and engine and stuff. And I was just like, okay, let's do that.
I think that a problem in that some teams have is that they get too complacent and they're not willing to take risks with their drivers. I think a prime example of that is Haas right now. I think they became too complacent with their drivers. You can have stability in a team, but eventually you're going to have to take risks and you're going to have to change up the team. I think that Mercedes need to...
They don't even have stability. Their drivers, all of last year, were like clashing, so there's no stability.
I think Mercedes should take a risk on a young driver, and I think if they want to honor the young driver program, it would be Russell, but I don't know if he's experienced enough for the Mercedes drive. Maybe it is, but if I could choose any driver to put in the Mercedes, I would put Gasly in. That's just me personally, but...
Obviously, the problem with that is Gasly has a Red Bull contract. I don't know if you can buy people out in F1, like you can pay the other team.
Yeah, but, it does. I think it works out that way, like breakout clauses, and I think if Mercedes really wanted to, they could get Gasly in the car realistically. But yeah.
I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see, because obviously Racing Point and stuff isn't confirmed. Or Aston Martin or whatever isn't like confirmed what drivers they're going to have next year, and me and you are always speculating about that one because we really want Vettel in that car
with Perez. Obviously,
with Perez. I'm of the mind where I don't really care who's paired with Vettel now, because Stroll's like really stepped up and become like more and more consistent. I feel like he's not outperforming Perez in any shape or form, in any way, but I feel like him and Perez are like at a similar level now, where it's just like, oh, this guy is like, because before I was thinking like, oh, Perez is going to be like at least like 2 cars in between them, like most races or something like that, but like that's just clearly not the case.
I feel like in qualifying pace, Perez is definitely still better, but I feel like Perez has maybe been a bit unlucky. I'm not sure.
Yeah, especially like getting COVID and stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the main drawback. But but like I feel like the Perez Stroll debate is like it's not as clear cut anymore. If that makes sense.
Maybe, yeah.
Obviously, if you're just going off like race pace experience, racecraft, qualifying, just like the overall package, you're going to pick Perez. Like anyone would pick Perez, but I feel like age is also a factor, and I don't know, there's just a lot of other factors within this debate, and obviously Lance Stroll is 21, Perez is 30, but yeah, it's just a lot.
I think with the Aston Martin one, it's just that Perez has technical experience, and I feel like a team building up like that just needs experience. And I feel like we are quite biased against Stroll because we don't want to see, like, I don't want to see drivers in cars just because their parents own it, and that's just like a personal bias of mine. It's,
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Stroll's performances has like warranted me not like bashing him as much as I did in the past, because I used to think Stroll is like a rubbish driver, but like now he's obviously proven me wrong. But I'm of the mind that it should be Perez and Vettel both in the team, Stroll should be their test driver for a few years until
that's fair.
one of them leaves,
That's
because
fair.
he's still only 21. So that's what I believe.
Yeah.
Whether Lawrence Stroll wants to like just pull the trigger on that one, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But anyway, next topic, Ferrari's weekend, and yeah, that topic's over. So the next topic is Williams. So the Williams family, the Williams
So we're actually
family.
gonna skip for Ferrari.
What is there to say about Ferrari that hasn't already been said?
I don't know. I find our weekly Ferrari rants fun, but
I don't know. At a certain point, it's just like
I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna break down.
Ferrari's
like
bad,
mentally,
you know?
physically.
Ferrari had an
we
even
rolled
Ferrari had an even worse weekend. You know, there's not much more to say about it.
Yeah, that both drivers DNF for the second time this season.
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. We can move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon you should just upload like just a 2-second clip where you're like to discuss Ferrari, and they just like, oh yeah, that topic's over. Done.
Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, during the week, the Williams family all Frank Williams, Claire Williams both stepped out the team. Because the new investors came in. I saw a lot on Twitter of people saying, you know, this is a really like sad time for Williams, and you know, the obvious sort of like emotional aspect of it, of being, you know, Williams have been around for such a long time, and they're a really important team for the history of F1. But personally, I've been a bit more of like a curmudgeon about it, because I really think that this moving away from that model of having the family run the team, I really think that this is a really good move for Williams, you know, as a unit, as a whole, on-track team, engineering, just a whole performance aspect, because I don't know, personally for me, I don't really care too much about the emotional aspect as much when I see Williams, a great name like Williams, being at the back of the grid for 3 years in a row.
To be honest with you, when I saw that news, I just saw it and then shrugged. I was just like, whatever.
Yeah.
If I'm being 100% honest, since I've watched F1, I've only seen Williams win one race, and that was with Pastor Maldonado. I still don't know how he won that race, you know.
And Silverstone 2015. That's still a win in my mind, to be honest. Like,
they lost.
I'm just a bit
lost
salty.
that way. They bottled it. They were like, oh, Massa's in the lead, and then Bottas is faster than him, and then Claire's like in the garage. Oh, I reckon Bottas is faster, and then they just sit on it for like 10 laps, and they don't say anything. They're not like, oh, let Bottas go and let him build up a gap. No. We're just gonna let the Mercedes catch up. You see, that's the thing with these teams. I don't trust any of these midfield teams, in the sense that when they have like a race win like in their hands, and they're against like Mercedes or Ferrari or Red Bull, for example, they always consistently shit the bed, and they're always like, oh, what do we do? We saw this with flipping Force India in 2017 in Canada. They were on for a podium. All they have to do is tell Perez, let Ocon go, and they're just like, no. And then Perez is like, no, and then they're just like, oh, what do we do here now? I don't know. Yeah. So this is the thing with these teams that everyone has like an emotional connection to. I feel like no one really gives a shit. No one really cares, because at the end of the day, we haven't seen Williams contend for a championship since 2004.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we haven't seen Williams win a championship since the 90s. So if we're really going to be like, if we're really going to put this into like terms that people can like truly understand, it's like me caring that Leeds United went bankrupt when they won the league in 1985. It's like, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like caring that a really important sports figure retired after not winning anything forever. It's just like, I feel like the Williams name, as soon as Claire stepped in and stuff, I feel like it just went to pot. No one really cared anymore. I feel like she was just there, literally. It's like literally there because I'm this guy's daughter. Yeah. I don't really know anything. And when I'm watching them, I don't want to be an asshole and be like a prick, but like when I was watching, if I watch her and like the decisions she's making, like let's say driver lineups and stuff, using paid drivers over skilled drivers and stuff, it's just like these people, they're just trying to stay afloat rather than do anything.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I obviously, people like Claire Williams because she's the only female team principal. That's well and good. I guess I'm not too concerned about gender. Overall, I'm kind of more interested about your management decisions. But yeah, I feel like I don't think Claire Williams was suitable for the team principal job. I feel like this moment of moving on is a good time to fully top down restructure of the team. And because you get this thing often with groups where once people have been in there for such a long time, they're not actually able to like look at the team properly like someone on the outside would. So with these new investors, if they can get like some new people in with experience from outside of Williams, I feel like Williams could actually really start to compete again. Because like you were saying, like Williams are staying afloat. That is a really good point where it's like, yeah, the Williams family are leaving the team, but does it really matter when they've just been trundling along for all these years? It's sort of better that they go, and then that name could maybe be honored in a way that if we get new management in, I feel like if they could start doing well.
Yeah, I feel like these new investors have to come in and they have to be very objective about just everything and really be clear and about what their intentions are with the team and what direction they want to go into. It's all about whether they want to be. Obviously, I don't feel like the Williams family would sell them if they weren't convinced that these guys. How do I say this? The team isn't in good hands. I don't feel like they would sell it just for the sake of money, because obviously I feel like they do care about the Williams name, because obviously it's still keeping the Williams name and stuff. So so as long as this team, these investors are objective, clear on how they want to run the team, how they want to be successful, and how they want to operate things, I feel like Williams is going to be in good hands.
Yeah.
Especially now that they can give Williams the financial backing that it truly, truly needs. Obviously, Williams, I saw some figure that the new budget cap is around. What was the new budget cap? 150, 145?
Yeah, $150 million, I think.
Yeah, 150. Williams' actual F1 budget is around that figure, like for everything. And that budget cap is only for like the car or something like.
Yeah,
the car.
Excluding drivers and management, I think.
Yeah, so they're like, how would I say this? They're spending the whole budget that you need just for the car on everything to operate the whole team. And if these new investors come in, pump it with the financial backing that it needs, I feel like Williams can be a really, really good team in the future. I don't feel like they're going to be the Williams of old in like 1987 that the old people saw back in the day.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like they're going to be a championship contender. They might win like a race in like 2037. That's my prediction. They're going to win a race in 2037. Clip this. No, I'm joking. Yeah, but I feel like they're just going to be a midfield team now. I feel like maybe they're going to be like where Renault is or something like that.
Maybe, yeah.
So yeah, I'm not really bothered. Unless these investors like pull something miraculous out of the bag, and then I'll have to take everything back.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What I was going to say earlier as well is that it wasn't the investors that came in and kicked the Williams family out. It's like they didn't want to be in it anymore. So I feel like it's a good move overall. I'm kind of happy about the move, to be honest. Yeah, because fundamentally the F1 doesn't really care about the sentimental aspect of having this family team. Really, what matters is the pace on the track. So yeah. But anyway, I guess we can move on to a new topic. I just want to have like, there's this like thing. I want to have like a minor rant about Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, go ahead.
So he's come out and said that Red Bull had been unfairly treating Gasly and that all this stuff after he won on Sunday. Why? I don't know why Hamilton is talking about Red Bull. You know, stay like that. That's not your issue, to be honest. You can complain all you want about Red Bull, right? But if Lewis Hamilton really cared about young drivers, he would get a young driver in his teammate, to be honest. If Lewis Hamilton wanted Pierre Gasly and Mercedes, he would be there. So fundamentally, he doesn't really care because realistically, all Lewis Hamilton wants to do is win every single race. That's what he wants to do. So why is he talking about why Red Bull's treatment of their drivers? I think he's trying to get under the skin of his closest, the closest team rival, right? And but there was another article that came out that said that Lewis Hamilton last year was doing the same thing, and that he phoned up the Red Bull management to tell them to put Albon in the team. So I don't know. I feel like Lewis Hamilton has to stop talking about Red Bull. It's really getting on my nerves.
I don't know. Well, do you want my opinion on this?
Yeah.
Let me see. I don't know. I feel like I feel like he's trolling.
Yeah.
If anything, I feel like he's a bit of a troll. Yeah. No, I feel like he's behind. I feel like he wears his cap. You know, puts the braid in the little gap at the back of the cap. He puts his braids through there. You know, he puts his sunglasses on. He walks up to the interviewers, and then on the way there, he's just like, you know, I want to say something that's gonna really piss some people off. You know, I'm really gonna piss some people off. Like, and he's rubbing his hands. You know, he's got his hand sanitizer and stuff. You know, he walks up to the interviewer, elbows. They touch elbows, and then he's just like, yeah, Red Bull have been treating Gasly really, really unfairly, and he deserves this win 100%. And then everyone's just gonna be like, yo, why the fuck is he talking about Red Bull? So then he's just gonna be like, he's playing mind games. He's playing mind games. And obviously you don't associate Lewis Hamilton with mind games. You usually associate, I don't know, who would you associate with mind games?
I'd say Michael Schumacher personally, or no, Fernando Alonso.
Fernando Alonso.
Yeah.
Wait, who else does mind games? Nah, Vettel doesn't do mind games. I was gonna think, does Vettel do mind games? Nah, he doesn't do mind games. I feel like Vettel's like too serious. Vettel's just a troll in general. Nah, he's a troll in general. Ever since Ferrari, he's been a troll. You see. But I feel like a lot of drivers would be doing mind games if they were given the chance. You know, like Felipe Massa used to do mind games on Lewis Hamilton, like Singapore 2011 or something like that.
Yeah,
He just walked up to Lewis Hamilton and he was like, yeah, good job for crashing. So, you know,
yeah,
I don't know. I like this. I like it when they try to get under people's skin, because I personally do that. Like when you get under someone's skin, it's very satisfying. Yeah, I feel like obviously it bothers you. It doesn't bother me one bit.
It just like
when I see this, it brought a smile to my face because I was just like, I need to see more of this, you know.
it just annoys me when Lewis Hamilton is winning titles left, right, and center, and he's got the team wrapped around his finger, and he's got a second driver that does whatever Mercedes does, and then he's complaining about Red Bull's young drivers. You know, it's like, if you really care about young drivers, ask to get George Russell in your team. You know, I don't know.
Nah, I don't know. I feel like you're looking into it a bit too like deeply, in the sense that, oh, if he really cared, then he would do this or something like that. You know when people were like posting about like something like some humanitarian crisis on like Twitter, but they haven't donated any money for like to the charity, something like that. I feel like you're looking at it like that, but I feel like this guy is like just trolling. I feel like he's just trolling everybody.
I guess so, yeah. Yeah, he's still winning, so I guess we're kind of falling into his trap where it's like, we're just talking about what Lewis Hamilton thinks, I guess.
Yeah, Chris. Yeah, so.
It's some giga brain moves.
Big brain energy. No, way.
Yeah.
It's a big. Yeah.
I don't know. It just annoys me when drivers talk about this kind of stuff.
It's so funny.
Yeah, maybe I wouldn't care as much if like Red Bull were actually competing with Mercedes, but I think it's because Mercedes are so dominant. It's like Lewis Hamilton doesn't even need to talk about it. Like he doesn't have any control over Red Bull, so he just stay out of it, because they're not even like competing with Mercedes this year. But yeah, that's just my view.
All right.
Mini run over. Oh yeah, this thing with qualifying at Monza. Did you see the slipstreaming battles at Monza?
Yeah, it was just a mess. Well, when Vettel went out in Q1, it's just because everyone was just bunching up together like it was an actual race. I've never seen anything like. No, this always happens at Monza. It happened last year as well.
Yeah, it's happened 2 years in a row in F3 as well. F3 was even worse, man. There was like 15 cars racing each other during qualifying.
Yeah, I don't know. How do I say this? Obviously, with the effect that, you know, when a car cuts through the air and a car's following it, usually that has a negative effect. For example, like Spain, it'd have a really bad effect if you're following a car a bit too closely. But at Monza, that's exactly what you want, because someone's just punching through the air just for you, and then you're going through, even though it's dirty air and stuff, it's just one lap, and it doesn't really like affect your tires and stuff, and it doesn't really affect you through the corners because you're not really cornering us. So I don't know, they need to maybe sort out like how, as Max Verstappen said, how draggy the cars are. But I don't know if it like.
I think realistically, the only way that they're going to be able to sort this is if they have special qualifyings for tracks like Austria, Baku, and Monza, maybe,
and Belgium.
Yeah, Belgium as well. I feel like the FIA are going to have to recognize that these tracks are not normal tracks due to the nature of the straights. So we might have to get like alternate qualifying for different tracks. In F2, they have alternate qualifying for Monza, where they split up the sessions to like get more space for each car. And also in Formula E, they have a completely different qualifying system where they split up the grid and then give track time to each car Well, they split the grid into 4 and then give track time to each quarter of the grid. I feel like the Formula E qualifying system is better than the F1 qualifying system, but it seems like in F1 a lot we talk about qualifying way too much. Realistically, it comes down to the race. I'm not really too concerned about qualifying overall. I quite like the knockout format, actually. It's quite exciting. But yeah, I feel like they might have to do a new system for Monza and Spa.
How would I say this? I feel like this is just another thing where I just don't care enough. Just because, because I always see these people bringing up like radical ideas, like reverse grids. Like David Coulthard the other day, like yesterday, was like on Channel 4. If you watched it, it was just like, we should have 2 pit boxes for each team, like NASCAR or Indy, and like, there's just a lot of like radical ideas floating around. Yeah, I feel like these radical ideas got like more and more just due to Mercedes dominance. That's what I'd say, because everyone's just trying to figure out a way to like bring the grid closer and stuff. But I feel like qualifying is not an issue. Like it's not big enough. It's not enough of an issue to like be prioritized over like all the other issues.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
When I look at it, I see that there's one team that's dominating the field, and everyone else is like close together, and then it's just that one team, and then there's another team like that's slightly behind them, and then everyone else is just here. But when I see that, I see like Mercedes, Red Bull, and then everyone else just chilling, and I'm like, that's more of an issue than people like following each other for qualifying. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe for qualifying at Monza, give drivers more time, and then say that only a certain amount of cars are allowed on the grid or on the track.
Yeah.
Maybe do that, but like give them like each what do you call it? Like Q1, Q2, Q3, like give them like an extra 5 minutes. Say that only 6 cars are allowed on the track at a time, and then just let them go. But
yeah.
I feel like if they wanted like the rule changed or like anything edited, they could just do like that. Like
yeah.
So it's not really.
Yeah, but also
really,
for me, it's like I don't understand. Max Verstappen's point is kind of true because we've been going to Monza for so long, and this has only been an issue since last year, maybe the year before. Like back in 2010, no one was complaining that like this never happened before. So I don't know why it's all of a sudden accruing.
Back in 2010, also, I think Ferrari were the only team that actually employed the tow system. No one else really thought that it gave them enough of an advantage. I feel like it'll be an issue that will sort itself out. I feel like with the new 2022, I believe, 2022 cars, I feel like obviously, less dirty air effect and stuff. I feel like it might not be as big of an issue. Maybe it'll be an even bigger issue.
Yeah.
But
yeah, because in F2 and F3 it's just the same thing as well. So, but also I don't understand why. Surely it doesn't make sense for drivers to be doing that anyway, because we saw in Q1 like they were just all slowing each other up. So I don't know why they do it, because they're never going to get an advantage from trying it. So they might as well just try and space each other out.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's the case of I don't know. A lot of teams just don't set a time in Q1 until like the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I feel like if you really want to play it safe, you'd set a time early, and then you'd position yourself in the tow just to get that advantage if it's there, like on the table, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like it's just like I feel like people only do it because everyone else is doing it, so that they don't lose out. That's what it is. rather than this
Yeah.
is like super powerful or whatever. So it's whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know if they want to do it. If they want to do it, it's exciting for me because I get to see a preview of Sunday. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
But anyway, I think that I don't think. Well, hopefully they sort it for next year. But if they don't, then I don't really care. But anyway, like
yeah.
one like final topic, kind of wanted to talk about was next year Renault is going to turn into Alpine F1. Did you see this? Like Renault are going to turn. Renault are rebranding their team into Alpine F1.
Oh, why?
I think it's because the Renault are trying to sort of launch a high-end car brand called Alpine, and they're sort of similar to
yeah.
Toyota.
I get what you mean.
Toyota Lexus is sort of the higher end brand, and yeah,
I know exactly what you mean. I know what this is. Yeah, you know how like for example, like Volkswagen owns like Audi and Porsche and stuff, and
Yeah.
like own so like so yeah, it makes perfect sense for them to like put it in F1 because then F1 is like sports cars and stuff. You know what I mean. So
Yeah.
like obviously there's Alfa Romeo now. There's Ferrari. There's Mercedes. There's gonna be what do you call it? I forgot.
Aston Martin.
Aston Martin. Yeah, Aston Martin's coming in. So yeah, all we're missing is Lamborghini now.
Williams, yeah, Lamborghini Williams.
Lamborghini. Just gonna play a case like Lamborghini every single time they enter the thing. It's like
Yeah. But yeah, this is. I don't know. I quite like the Renault color scheme. Having a yellow team, it kind of separates it out a bit. Because there's no other like yellow car, and it's kind of satisfying to be able to, on like the F1 graphic where you can see like the yellow. You always know it's a red Renault, whereas like the new Alpine team is going to be like red, white, and blue, so not very unique. And yeah, but
I don't know. Yeah,
they're bringing in Alonso for next year, and hopefully for 2022, this is part of a bigger like restructuring for Renault, but it's probably not going to make a major difference overall.
I don't know. I feel like if I want to be genuinely honest, the new regulations and stuff, I feel like everyone's like really overestimating what these teams can do in a short amount of time. I feel like we're just gonna have Mercedes dominance again until like 2025. If I'm being really cynical.
I don't see it. I don't see it.
I feel like you're trying to manifest it and speak it into existence. You're like, 2022 we're gonna have really close racing, but I just don't see that shit, bro.
I'd say
I'm being honest with you. If we do and I'm proven wrong, I'll be more than happy. I promise you.
I'd say if we didn't have COVID and everything this year and the rules were brought in next year, I'd say that Mercedes will probably dominate it. But because it's been delayed by a year and they still have the cost cap, I feel like that was such a good move that it just puts everyone on an equal playing field. It's like an entire reset for F1, sort of, in my mind. I just feel like there's going to be like faster and slower cars, but I feel like the gap's just going to be merged way closer. I kind of feel like it's going to be like 2012 again, 10 years later.
I don't know. In my mind, I just can't imagine that.
It's because Mercedes have been so dominant for such a long time that you can't even imagine.
Not even that. Actually, no. Look, I will be honest with you in the sense that, obviously, 2009 that was a really, really, really big regulation change, and a lot of big teams were caught napping.
Yeah. And the same for 2014 as well, maybe.
Yeah, but like 2014, like Mercedes was like the only team like truly preparing for it over everyone else. I feel like everyone else is going to be preparing, and Mercedes is already have like just has the best everything, and they're going to be really, really on the ball for this. I don't feel like they're going to do like a Red Bull 2013 mistake. You know?
Yeah.
I feel like Red
Maybe.
Bull... Actually, no, I feel like Red Bull might be like bad again in 2022.
I feel like any team could just come out of the blue and start winning. Personally, that's my view.
Yeah, I feel like I'm really like looking
apart
at
from Ferrari.
I don't even know with Ferrari, because Ferrari always come back. They always come back. They don't die. They're the Undertaker. I don't know if you ever watched WWE, but Ferrari is literally the Undertaker.
Ferrari haven't properly come back since like 2004, so...
No, because look, think about it like this. Ferrari were like, well, they won in 2004, lost 2005, 2006, came back 2007. They came back, they were in the title for 2008. Yeah. They were bad for 2009. Then they came back in 2010, bad for 2011. Came back in 2012, bad for 2013, 14. They were
came back for
mediocre
2012
for
is a bit...
50. No.
They had
But
like
as long as you're in
card, so...
as long as you're in the title fight, you came back in my mind. No, but look, the thing about like this,
good car in 2013, bad, good, bad, good, good, bad, really bad. So, if just going through the years.
Look,
so
like, see. If anything, I don't feel like Ferrari can get any worse now. Like,
yeah.
So, like, let's say if you hit rock bottom, right, and you're there with a shovel, so like you've been digging. Like this grassy field, like you've been digging, and then you hit like the rock bottom, and you're just there, and you try to dig anymore, and you just can't, and like you're breaking the shovel, you're chipping it and stuff, and then the only way is up now. The only way is up now is for Ferrari. Like, okay, obviously they can get worse, but like if they get worse, it's not going to be like, oh, this was like so unexpected, you know. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, look, this is how I see 2022, like, in my mind. I feel like Mercedes is definitely going to be number one. I feel like Red Bull are going to drop off. I feel like McLaren are going to take a huge step. I feel like Aston Martin are going to take a step. Aston Martin are going to take a decent step. Renault are going to take like a minor step. Ferrari might take like a few steps forward, and then everyone else is going to be like the same. That's what I see. I feel like McLaren's going to take a decent step considering they have Mercedes engines as well. Like, I feel like I'm really looking forward to this McLaren team. It's
just the cost cap is just could throw up so much within the team that I think it could actually just mean that any team, maybe apart from, I say Haas, Alfa, and Williams, all the other teams could get the front, I'd say.
I agree.
But yeah, maybe we just do some predictions for next weekend, which is the Tuscany Grand Prix in Mugello. And also one thing that I wanted to say is that when we were doing F1.5, we didn't include Ferrari before, so maybe if we like include them before, because like the official F1.5 subreddit includes Ferrari now. Next weekend I'm gonna organize like all of our predictions into an Excel document and then score them, and then we can like check in with our predictions and our season predictions at the start of the year and see how bad they were. And
to be honest, sometimes I wonder what I predicted when I'm watching the race, because sometimes I forget.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, yo, I definitely predicted Lando Norris to do well this race, and he's like, I'm like, yeah, I definitely predicted that. It, but I don't know.
Yeah. What do you think for Mugello?
I'm just gonna go for the safe option. Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen. Fastest lap Lewis Hamilton, F1.5. Sainz, Stroll, Ricciardo. Fastest lap Lando Norris.
Nice, yeah. I think at Mugello, Mercedes are going to be unbelievably fast again. Just that track, I could imagine that track suiting them more than any other track for some reason. And
Imagine
just the
like,
corners, I don't know, just and
I don't know.
I think Hamilton's going to come back after the penalty and he's just going to win every like.
Yeah,
just,
he always does that.
And yeah, so Hamilton. Let's say Hamilton. Hamilton, Verstappen, Perez, and just throw him in there. And then fastest lap. Just take a guess. Science? Yeah. F1.5, I'd say. I'm going to say, yeah, Perez. Science, and I'll put Leclerc in there. Just for. Yeah. And then fastest lap, yeah, Science for F1.5.
Wait, let me. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, what do you think? You think it's going to be a good race? I've got a really bad feeling that it's going to be a terrible race.
No, I think it's going to be a shit race. Now I'm of the mind that I'm going to assume that all races are going to be bad. Look, to be honest with you, I was expecting Italy to be a bad race. I wasn't even watching the race.
There was that meme where the F1 put up the graphic of like Lewis Hamilton's 90th race win on Saturday because everyone just thought that Lewis Hamilton was going to win.
Yeah, because I don't know. I look at these tracks. It's just like there's nothing inherently exciting. Well, no. There's nothing about the track that screams this will be an exciting race just due to the fact that there will be no chaos. If that makes sense. Yeah. I feel like this will be maybe a decent race just because of the fact that it's the first race.
Yeah, and no one has there's no driver knowledge of the track, so that could actually be really interesting.
Yeah, but like just looking at the track, I don't have any hope. I'm not going to hold my breath.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be good. I feel like it's going to be just a train of cars, no overtaking. So
I don't know. It's not a very wide track either.
Yeah, it's kind of like Hungary. That's how I imagine it.
Yeah, it's Hungary and Spain.
Yeah,
if they had a baby, which is like the two worst tracks you could have. Like you could imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, what's that? Sorry.
I'm just like, imagine they threw Monaco in there. It's like, oh no, it's unique, so it's a good track then.
You're gonna use my line against me on that one, but yeah. I guess that's everything for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually still shocked that Pierre Gasly won that, to be honest. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like now I've spoken so much that my energy has like depleted, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's everything. So hit that notification, like, slam bell, whatever it is. And thanks if them still watching. Give us a share because we really could do with a share. Anyway, thank you.